Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. Today's episode is really interesting to me because so many of us get to purposefully choose when we're redesigning our businesses, what needs to go, what needs to stay, how this all looks. Sometimes some of us are not really given a choice. Sometimes the universe or life or whatever you believe in forces our hand to say, it is time to make a change. What you are doing is unsustainable. I'm really excited about today's guest. When I invited her onto the podcast, I didn't even know this story. And then we got into chatting about her episode, and I was like, that's the story that I think would be most purposeful for my audience. Layne's going to tell you today how she experienced a health issue that forced her to make some changes in her business for her health and for herself. She literally got to the point where she got to choose herself over her business, and her business isn't suffering for it, which is really cool because I think oftentimes we think it's an either or. Layne has found a way to do both and. I'm really excited to introduce you all. Stick around for the entire episode. It's going to be a great one, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I'm the Entrepreneur Coach, Bree Seeley. My mission is to help female entrepreneurs like you have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success, then to gather the resources, tools, and knowledge you need to create your most aligned and profitable pathway to your vision of success. This podcast is all about providing you with a nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Forget the success porn and the rags to riches stories. Each episode will pull back the curtain and share the reality of entrepreneurship. I cannot wait to be part of your journey. Layne Lyons is a trademark lawyer for women-owned and solo businesses. Layne protects her clients' brands so they can build and scale with confidence. She believes that legal stuff should never be intimidating or overwhelming or boring. She speaks to her clients in plain English, using relatable examples and funny analogies that makes the legal side of business easy and stress-free. Y'all, please help me digitally welcome. A little round of applause for Layne Lyons. Hello.
Hi, Bree. Thanks for having me. Aloha from Hawaii, everyone.
I think of you so often since our first call. Every time I see Hawaii now, I'm like, I want to go there. I want to go see Layne.
Come. We're ready.
So you didn't actually used to live in Hawaii either. You've completely redesigned your existence. You've completely made choice after choice after choice after choice to choose yourself, to choose your health, to choose your highest alignment so that you can be fulfilled, and you're also making a huge impact as well. Walk us through a brief glimpse of your story, because most lawyers I know don't live in Hawaii having balance. Talk us through a little bit of your story.
We're in 2024 now. I've lived in Hawaii on and off since 2006. My husband and I started traveling in 2002. We lived in the Bahamas for several years. We lived on a boat. We've always had the nomad tropical life, but it was really adventure after adventure after adventure. And I got sick. Unfortunately, we really had to be in one place where there was good, very solid medical care. So our journey took a turn, took a stop. I think about Fred Flintstone's big feet under the car. He puts those brakes on and we just had to stop. But the adventures continue. And then when I got my feet under me, we came to Hawaii, bought a house here. We've lived here for quite some time. But it is a lifestyle here about more fresh air, sunshine year round. That's really helped to be in that mindset of a better place. My business took a parallel journey to that. Let's see, I went to Duke Law School and I graduated in 1995. So that makes me very ancient. That means I've been practicing law for 28 years. When I started, I was a courtroom lawyer. I was a district attorney. I was really out there taking on the world, doing all the things. Lots of stress. The lawyer life and Duke, and I grew up in Manhattan. All of those things conspired into this hustle and grind and go and build the next thing and do the next thing and get the next client and constantly bigger and bigger. I think that really informed my business for a long time. I kept adding team member after team member and new offer after new offer, getting my whole business bigger and bigger and bigger I have over 300 clients. That's a really big caseload for a lawyer. Then I got sick and had to make some hard decisions. Really, the first thought was, could I continue? Could I continue working? And when my decision was, I am ready to retire, I'm not done yet, I feel like I'm just getting started, I had to make a lot of decisions about what could stay and what could go. That meant letting go of a lot of things. I had a big contracts practice, and I still have a done for you contract store. It's still alive, it's still going, but I'm not able to be actively participating in that. I've had to step back and really lean hard into the trademark side of my practice. That was a hard choice because it felt like, where do I go from here? I had to stop and look at, what am I good at? I'm really, really good at the lawyering. It was letting go of certain things. I did a weekly newsletter for over 5 years with a legal tip every single week, and it was wonderful. And I loved it, and my audience loved it, and I had to let it go. It's about making choices.
This is so interesting because it's very reminiscent. I am rereading 10x is easier than 2x. What that book says, which is so counterintuitive to what we are taught, is that it's 20% of what you're doing is creating 80% of the results you're getting. In order to 10x, you actually have to do 80% less. There is so much fear in letting go of that 80% and saying, but it's bringing me in leads, it's bringing me in clients. And now I'm just niching down into one area of law. There's so much fear involved in that and so much trust and faith involved in that. Did you have any tools, techniques, practices, or support systems that helped guide you through that process?
I did this course with Rachel Cook years ago called the CEO Collective, and she talked about each of the tasks that we do every day are either $10 tasks, which is responding to an email, $100 an hour task maybe is writing a newsletter, $1,000 an hour task is maybe having a sales call, $10,000 an hour task is things only you can do. I took that and I looked at what are the $10,000 an hour tasks: speaking, being with my clients on calls where I'm helping my clients one way or the other, and lawyering. Those are the 3 things that no one else can do in my business that are the revenue generators, that are the $10,000 an hour tasks. Once I got those 3 things identified, speaking, selling, if you will, calls with clients, and lawyering, I looked at everything else that wasn't that. Managing my team, wanting to be involved in every team meeting because they're so great and I love these women, but I can't. The weekly newsletter and editing. I have a copywriter who was coming up with the ideas and writing it, but editing it every week. Then the inevitable glitches. Oh, something didn't get posted on socials. I realized that in order to work less, the Pareto principle, 80-20, in order to work less, what did I have the hours to do? Some of it was from my heart. Some of it was logic. There's only so many hours. If you take your day planner and you look at the hours in the day, 9 to 4, there's only so many. I feel really lucky because what fit into those hours were the 3 things that I just mentioned that I love to do, that I'm good at, and that really are the revenue drivers in the business and the things that no one else can do. I don't know if it would always nestle in neatly for people, but I invite people to look at, what do you love to do? What are you great at? And what can no one else in your business do? Someone else can edit a newsletter. Someone else can manage a social media snafu.
Let's talk about that quickly. I have a lot of clients who are like, oh, no one can do this the way I can do this. Really? Okay, maybe they don't do it exactly the way you do it, but also what if they do it better? Or also, what if there's something that's new that you don't know about because you've been so head down in your business that you haven't had a chance to learn a new technique or a new thing? Did you have any of that pop up where there was, oh, I can't let go of this because I have to do this thing, even though someone else could edit your newsletters?
When I first started bringing on a team 8-9 years ago, there was that feeling of not only can I be the only person who can do this, but I hear a lot from my clients who are on that growth edge of hiring a team is it's just going to be faster. I'll just get in and do it by the time I explain it to somebody and go through it. But what they don't realize is once you delegate it the one time, then somebody else is doing it every time. But I think that there's always a mindset. We look at the human needs, and it's no judgment, the need to be significant. We all have that. And I have that very strongly. I want to be of service. I want to be helpful to people all day long. You can see that in my business life and the way I treat my clients, and in my personal life. I want to be helpful. To say, well, someone else can step in and do that. I think takes a little bit of an ego shift and a mindset shift to step out of the way and say, well, wait a second. Maybe this other person can certainly do it and do it as well. Or as you're saying, I love your little tweak to it, can do it even better than I can. I'll tell you what, my ability to create cute social posts, I'm not good at that. You want to talk about your trademark? That's my jam. That's my sweet spot. I think there's also some internal letting go and internal accepting of where are your strengths? What are those $10,000 an hour tasks? What are the things that only you can do and that you're great at and that you love? And if that is editing a newsletter, great. But if it's not, then that can be an access point for you to let go and have your business grow. What I've seen time and time again is when we do let go, things really take off. When we are in our zone.
I just onboarded a bunch of new team members onto my team, a podcast editor, because I was editing all my podcasts after I rebranded, and I did not edit them before then on purpose. When I rebranded, I was like, all right, we're stepping it up a notch. I'm going to edit them, get it done. But what happens that's really interesting is we think about the task we need to perform so many times before we actually perform it. If it's something that we're resisting, we think about it even more because we think about, I should be doing this right now and I'm not doing this right now. And then we don't do it. And then we think again, I should be doing this, but I'm not doing it. By the time we actually get to the task that we're doing, our brain cannot tell the difference between doing a task and thinking about a task. So by the time we get to that task, if we've thought about it 20 times in our mind, we've already done it 20 times, and we do not want to show up and do it the 21st time. When we talk about procrastination, are you procrastinating because it's something that you should be offloading, even freeing yourself up from that one 20-minute task? How much additional energy is that freeing you up from having to think about it 20 times? Yep. There's so much that gets compiled with it that we don't see because it's happening in our heads.
Or on our planner, whether that's digital or on paper, and we're carrying it over to the next day. And that mental heavy load, that's one of the things that really niching down and leaning tightly into just one thing allows that some of that static and extra noise and overwhelm and overload of so many things disappears. I have a don't list, things that I don't do, and I don't do overwhelm. I don't do it. If I can avoid it, I don't do tight deadlines, and I don't put tight deadlines on my team whenever we can avoid that, so that I'm doing the things that are important and efficient, and I'm not having that 20 times of, I should do this. If you're thinking about something for the 5th time and you're putting it off again, it might be time to take that task, put a circle around it and a big old couple question marks, carve out some CEO time, sit down with that question and say, what is it? Is it too big?
A big one that I've done before is redo website. Where do you even start with that? I'm just going to sit down and click a few buttons and my website's going to be redone.
Is it that you need to break it down into smaller chunks? Is it that you need to prioritize? Is it that you need someone else to step in and help get that task done? What is it? If that task is following you around, I love this idea of the 20 conversations in our head to get it done the 21st time. I think that there's some great questions we can ask ourselves about a task that's following us. And is this really mine? That's the question that I have to ask all the time. We're creating a new onboarding sequence. The team wants to get me involved. This person from this direction, this person. And I keep saying, this isn't mine. When it's 90% done, I'm going to come in and I'm going to spend a full day and I'm going to comb out all the knots. I'm going to approve everything. I'm going to get it all done. But getting it built and getting the tech, it's not mine. What having a major health challenge teaches us, and I hope that people listening don't have to come to this. We have so many women who get into burnout, and then you'll hear people say, I hope you don't have to get into burnout to get this lesson. With a significant and major health challenge, you can stop and make these choices before you have to. Yes, it's harder and easier somehow if you get forced. I got forced into making the decision, but we can be powerful and we can step into that decision long before anything happens. Anyone listening can think, what is the one thing in my business, that one lever, that if I pull that one lever, everything else could flow after that, rather than looking at what are my 6 offers? And how am I going to rotate 6 offers through the 12 months and one every other month? And what audience am I serving? I want to be all things to all people. I want to solve all the world's problems. Having to lean in on the one thing is a great yardstick to take all those other decisions. It allows that noise and static and fluff and $10 an hour tasks to fall away.
Pardon the interruption as we take a brief break before bringing you back to our episode. Are you an entrepreneur who feels like you're running a marathon on a hamster wheel each day, but you'd really rather be swimming with the pigs in the Bahamas or having breakfast with the giraffes in Africa? You're getting okay results in your business, but you're ready for exceptional results. It's time to hit the reset button to give your business a makeover and evolve into your next level of entrepreneur. I want to invite you into the Reset, a 5-day business makeover to evolve your business from acceptable to exceptional. Visit breesealy.com/reset to get free access to this resource that will forever change the trajectory of your business. Did you have any major fears or anything pop up as you were really niching down into being the trademark lady and nothing else? And when people come to me and they ask me for all the other things, I'm going to have to say no to them. Was that a scary process?
Definitely. I can say, let me give the end before I give the beginning. Now, having done it, we can all look back and say, okay, business has never been more successful. It's never been more in the flow, simple and streamlined and successful revenue-wise and successful rest and time to breathe.
Give us an idea. How far in are you right now compared to when this happened?
A year into really leaning in and making that decision. So thinking back, now that I'm at the point where everything's been implemented, it's easy to say, oh, it was so successful. I don't remember being afraid, but holy shirt balls, Brie. At the beginning, I was really scared. I was like, I'm going to lose business. I'm going to turn people away. Having to say, hey, I'm going to refer you out is a really scary thing for an entrepreneur, a rainmaking attorney. My whole life is build my business, build my business, build my business. And then all of a sudden to say, well, wait a second, I'm going to turn off this faucet and turn off this faucet and open up this tap as big as it can go and let this be my fire hose, if you will. And I don't do Overwhelm, so not really a fire hose. Let this be my stream, but dry up these other wells and turn them off and refer people out was super scary at first. And I still have people come to me. I just had someone this morning, a wonderful long-standing client, say, hey, I need a tweak to my licensing contract. Can I get on your calendar? It's hard to say no. I wrote the contract. I built her system. It would be easier and faster for me to get in there and spend the hour and rewrite her contract. But I know if I do that, I will have to work an hour later for my trademark clients. I will have to stay an hour later for arranging a speaking gig. The things that I've agreed with myself and the universe that I'm going to lean into. Boundaries. We have to make it and then enforce it and then enforce it again. That's not about the client. She's fine to ask for it, but it's easy to say to your kids, oh, you can just stay up till 9 o'clock. Don't worry, 15 more minutes, just fine. I don't have children. But everybody, I think, pays the consequences when you let your kids stay up till whatever time it is. It's a give and a take, and there's definite fear. I don't want anyone to think that there is not constant fear that pops up when you say no about something that could, A, bring in revenue, and B, make a client really happy, which is what I love to do. I want to be a yes, and I want to say, sure, I'll rewrite that section of your licensing agreement for your new big deal that's coming up with a big publisher. And sure, I'll rewrite that, but should I rewrite that? I don't know. I probably will have to say no and refer it out.
Good for you. So I have 2 more things that I want to chat about quick before we wrap. We're recording this in February. I happen to know that you took the entire month of December off. Will you talk to us about what that decision was and why you took it?
Right around the October mark, I was starting some new treatments and wasn't really feeling very good from those treatments physically. What was happening was I was dragging myself to work and not sleeping at night because of not feeling well and not resting at all because of a heavy workload. Any free time was covered with medical things, either dealing with hospitals and things like that, or not feeling well after treatments. I came up with this idea about what if I closed my office. We historically always close our office the last 2 weeks in December to give the team a time to be with family, to give me a break, to just respect the end of the year. Going internal, I always have a big New Year's Eve party here at our house. So to take a beat. And I came up with this idea, what if I closed the office the entire month of December? At first, it seemed crazy. It seemed like I couldn't possibly, how could I do that? How would that go? But I needed to. I really needed to take that time for rest. And I got a lot of pushback at the beginning. People were like, that's outrageous. You can't do that. And I was like, well, the more times you say it, the more I check in with myself and I listen to my beating heart and my exhausted brain and my wrecked body, actually, I am going to do that. I never said no to the naysayers. I just said, this is what I need. Looking back on it, it was the most magical time. Well, there were 2 Wednesdays that I came in. Otherwise, it was just going to be trademarks. The trademark office stops for no one. So I still had to come in a little bit here and there. But I spent most of the entire month of December laying in the grass in my backyard, just looking up at the sky and spending time in my garden, being with the plants. I spent a lot of time in the ocean, floating there and being at rest, which isn't something that most lawyers do. And in this entrepreneur world, isn't something that a lot of us are really celebrating. Then when I did it, I started seeing people all over the place right around New Year's. My whole feed was filled with all of these calls to rest. You could see in January of this year, people were not about the New Year's resolutions. They were about I'm going to do something nice every single day for myself. I'm just going to be kind and gentle. And people are tired. And I think people are ready for something different. While it seemed extraordinary or outrageous, as people said, it's really that idea of resting. I'm hoping I see it, and I'm hoping to be part of having just a little tiny part of this movement of people really taking what they need for themselves and not listening to this fear that I'm going to step away for 4 weeks and my business is going to be gone, because your business did not take 4 weeks to build. It will not disappear or crumble. All of your clients are not going to leave if you stop posting on socials for 6 months. Chances are most people aren't even going to notice. I mean, they'll notice, but they're not going to be like, oh, where is she? What is she doing? They're going to say, okay, well, I haven't heard from her in a second. Maybe she's taking a beat. I think it's becoming more normal. I hope it's becoming more normal for people.
I took some time off last year to reassess and reevaluate who I was serving and how I was serving them and all these things. And of course, you go through your client avatar and who am I serving and all these things. I really came to this realization that so many women get to the point in their businesses where they are overworking and underliving. And I started saying that word, underlive, often and frequently to people. And all these women were just like, oh, like a dagger in the heart. Oh, that feels so personal.
You're naming it.
Yeah, so many of us have gotten into this cycle and it's been so normalized. Keep pushing, just keep pushing, just keep pushing. You'll get there eventually and then you'll be able to take a break. No, 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 no. If we're not resting along the way, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we are forsaking what we need most along the journey, there will be no there at all for us to get to.
I think people really have, and me as well, gotten twisted into rest is a reward. Rest is something that I'll do after I do everything else. After I do my whole to-do list and the kitchen is clean and the pets are fed, all the things, and after I've worked out and after I've returned all my texts, then I'll rest. I don't think that rest is a reward anymore. I think rest is part of each of our days. I take a little between each of my calls. There's a little behind the scenes over here. You can't see it, but I have a disco ball, and that whole wall of my office is all custom silver sparkle wallpaper and a big disco ball and disco lights. I take a 4-minute break between each and every one of my calls. Well, I take a break, but 4 of those minutes, I put on a song and I dance my tail off. I shake my feathers. I have a big dance mirror in my office and I just shake it all out. To me, that's rest. Rest isn't really a passive thing. It's an active thing and a state of mind and a place where you go that you feel calm and energized and in the flow. And for me, that's dancing. Every single call, I finish it. I turn on the music. I get up. I go crazy in here. Then I go and take a bio break and all the things. Then I'm back. Whew, you would never even know it. But it's those little moments. It's 4 minutes, y'all. It doesn't have to be, oh, I need 2 hours to take a nap. You don't need a long time. You just need to be intentional about it and put those breaks in your schedule. If you saw my day planner, it's filled with breaks in between each thing. They're just rests, just like in a piece of music, how just that little break, it can't be noise the whole time. There's a little break.
Give us one other little behind the scenes thing. Do you have one go-to song that you're really vibing to right now? And then I'll share mine.
Well, I'm a disco queen. So anything from late 70s, circa 1978 to circa 1982. I did a whole Bee Gees compilation on my walk yesterday. I love anything that's disco. You put on some Donna Summer, I'm done. I have this song called The Weekend. I play it every single Friday at 5 o'clock. It's this ritual. The weekend is here and I need to blow off all the steam.
Love it. Recently, the last month, I've really been jamming to this song, which was in this terrible movie. I'm not going to name the movie, but I got introduced to it through the movie and then realized it's been out since 2001. And I was like, how did I not dance to this in Florence when I lived there? This was totally a discotheque song in Italy in 2004. And how did I miss it for 20 years? It's called Murder on the Dance Floor.
I love Murder on the Dance Floor.
Yeah, it reminds me of being in Italy. Oh, I just love it so much. It's very Italian discotheque.
That's an old song. That's on a playlist. I call it a dance walk playlist. Walk and get grooving and then step back. 2 steps, step back. My neighbors must think I'm crazy. Everyone in the neighborhood, there she goes with her fanny pack and her fast feet.
Come on. We all also need to infuse more joy and infuse more movement and infuse more fun. We're also serious in business all the time. And without rest and without play and without movement, we're just robots. And I don't know who decided this was how business was run, but it's not how women work. Kudos to you for finding this within yourself and committing to it and taking the last year to really truly revamp. I have this free training that I do with people called the Reset. People fall off after about day 3, which is what needs to go in your business. So many people are just so freaking scared to let go of what they've been doing, even when it's not working and when it's not producing results and when it's driving them into overwhelm and burnout. The fact that you had the courage to do this when you saw the writing on the wall and you were like, here's my 2 choices and I don't like this one. So it takes a lot of gumption to really, truly niche down and cut a huge swath of your business out to focus on really amplifying one pillar of it.
It's one great pillar. Through and through, I am a trademark lawyer and I love trademarks and I love protecting my clients' brands, but it's hard to let go of something.
So one last thing, talk to us quickly about the intersection between trademarking something and niching down, because you and I emailed about this a little bit and I was like, well, for the people that want to niche down, trademarking should be a next obvious step for them. Talk to us about why trademarking is so important if you're choosing to get rid of 80% of what's not working in your business.
Absolutely. If you're going to get known for one thing under one house brand, how could you possibly leave the name that you're getting known for to chance? I'll say quickly, a lot of people think that you get a trademark so that you can stop anyone else from using your name. Somebody has a name that's too similar to mine, I'm going to shut them down. To me, after all of these years, almost 3 decades, that is not the real benefit. The real value of having your name trademarked is that you know that it's yours. You can build and build and build on top of it. No one else can swoop in and come to you with an aggressive cease and desist letter and tell you that you have to stop using your name, forcing you to take it all down, change it all, rebrand, and come back up online. When you have just one brand and you're being known for just one thing, or even if you weren't, it's super important. But let's say that you have a podcast and you're going to double down on your podcast and you're leaving the name of that podcast. You haven't registered it. You haven't secured it. You don't own it. And someone else can tell you this week your podcast name was Sweet Cupcakes. And next week you can't have the name Sweet Cupcakes anymore because someone came in and said you can't have it. So you're going to change it to Sparkles and Bows. Who's going to even know that that's the same podcast? So when you're being really intentional in your business and you're getting really serious and you're choosing the one thing and you're going to double down on it and lean into it, it becomes even that much more important to make sure that you're proceeding properly that you're protecting the one thing so that you don't lose that one thing that you've gone all in on. If you've got 30 things and one of them chucks off to the wayside, you got 30 cars and one of them doesn't work, fine. But if you've got one car in that driveway, you better make sure that that one car is working. So trademarking is making sure that you own that name, that it's yours. No one else can swoop in, tell you that you have to stop using it, take everything down, change it, which can really be a death sentence. That could be the nail in the coffin for entrepreneurs, especially someone who's been around a while, is starting to gain momentum and starting to get known under a name. If you lose it then, it's really devastating. So trademarking and protecting that name becomes even more important.
Awesome. Tell us lastly where people can find you, where they can connect with you if they're looking to inquire about trademarks, all of that good stuff. Where do we find you?
The website is LayneLyons.com. I have a free gift for everyone. It's an inventory to figure out what is trademarkable in your business. What are your trademark assets? And is this something that you should move forward with? It's an interactive workbook that really gets you through. Is this something that I need to pursue? It helps you answer some of those questions so that you know, do you even need to go forward with this? Is this something important? And it's an inventory, and you can get that at LayneLyons.com/protect. You can get your IP inventory, going to just help you know what trademarks you have and which ones you need to move forward with. And then you can find me on Instagram, Layne Lyons Legal, all the things, all the places.
Perfect. And just going to spell your name quickly in case someone's listening. It's LayneLyons. So go check out Layne on Instagram, go get her freebie, go check out her website. All of the links and everything will be in the show notes. So if you need to go back and find it, you can go there. Thank you so much for being such a brilliant guest today. Rest and getting really intentional with our businesses. It's such an important conversation right now, and one that I'm really committed to having with a lot of female entrepreneurs, because more of us need to be more purposeful and working less and living more, because none of us became entrepreneurs to burn out and feel like shit every day and be overwhelmed. That's not the experience we signed up for. And yet the majority of us are living that way.
Hopefully after hearing this episode, a couple people feel inspired, lean into the one thing, take more rest, go get outside and dance.
Love it. Thank you, Layne.
Thank you, Bree. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Entrepreneur Coach podcast. I hope you gained valuable wisdom from this episode and have at least one thing you can act on today. As I always say, listening to this episode will not change your life. What you do afterwards will. Please be sure to leave a rating and a review of the show, and don't forget to share this episode with a friend or colleague who could use it. Last but not least, please have the audacity to believe in the inevitability of your success today. You deserve it.